And now we're going to take a look at the third mechanism of the UN, which is called special procedures. So here we go. UN special procedures. Special procedures are independent human rights experts tasked by the UN to investigate and report on human rights situations around the world. It's a big task. These are individuals or small working groups that have been mandated by the UN to investigate and report on human rights situations around the world. You'll come across three different terms describing special procedures. Sometimes a special procedure is called an independent expert. Sometimes it's a working group of 2 or 3 people. And sometimes they're referred to as special rapporteurs. So you'll come across those 3 terms when you're dealing with special procedures: independent experts, working groups, or special rapporteurs. And there are 2 kinds of special procedures. The first kind of special procedure is called a country mandate. And at the moment in the UN system, there are 13 country mandates. That means the UN has appointed a special rapporteur to investigate the situation in a particular country in relation to human rights. So for example, I've given you 3 examples there. At the moment, there's a special rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Afghanistan, in Myanmar, and in Belarus, and there are 10 others as well. And of course, countries don't like to have a special rapporteur appointed to look at the human rights situation in their country for obvious reasons. And the special rapporteur may visit the country and makes a report. So that's the country mandates, of which there are 13. And then there's a bigger group of thematic mandates. And these are where the UN has actually given a mandate on a particular human rights issue. And I've named a few examples there. The UN could appoint a special rapporteur on the promotion and protection of human rights in the context of climate change. And actually that rapporteur was appointed for the first time in 2021, last year. So that's a new special rapporteur. You have other special rapporteur on the rights of persons with disabilities. And you have a special rapporteur on the freedom of religion and so on. There are 45 thematic mandates. And again, it would be important for you to find out, to know about these mandates and see which one of these would connect with the situation and human rights that you're dealing with. So in total, there are 58 mandates, 13 country mandates, and 45 thematic mandates. Special procedures embark on country visits. They prepare reports and they raise concerns about individual cases or laws. One of the advantages of special procedures is that you can approach the special rapporteur. They're contactable and you can tell them what your issue is and they will take note of that. So it's a good way for individual cases to be brought to the attention of the rapporteur. And every year, the experts, the rapporteurs, or the independent experts, they present their reports to the Human Rights Council. So for example, in the recent Human Rights Council in the month of March just passed, several rapporteurs give their reports to the Council. And when that's happening, there's an opportunity for groups like ERI to make an oral statement. So for example, when the Special Rapporteur on the people with disabilities had made his report, we were able to make a statement in response to that report during the Human Rights Council session. The reports of special rapporteurs include recommendations. So they make recommendations to the Human Rights Council or to the government of the country that they may have visited, or to businesses or to NGOs. So these reports from the special rapporteur, from the special procedures, can be quite significant. Special procedures can also issue statements and press releases, thereby increasing awareness of a human rights problem. So if a special rapporteur pays a visit to a country, when it comes to the end of the visit, normally he or she will conduct a press conference and issue a statement. And that actually raises public awareness about the human rights situation that the special rapporteur has been reporting upon. And there's often quite a lot of interest in what the special rapporteur will say at the end of a country visit. And the last slide then on special procedures, it's one of the most powerful international instruments for confronting violations of the rights of individuals or particular groups. So it really can get down to the nitty-gritty of particular violations of human rights in a particular country or on a particular issue. Special procedures have taken action, for example, against the killing of environmentalists. They've raised awareness of the challenges facing female human rights defenders. They've shone a light on abuses against LGBTI people. So that shows you how they actually can deal with, the rights of individuals and particular groups. And special procedures allows a particular focus on an issue. When a special rapporteur is appointed, he or she has a mandate and they have to work within the terms of that mandate. So they're very focused on a particular issue or on a particular country. And they're fast, they're flexible, they're public, you can engage with them. They're open, they're accessible. And the cases they raise, the countries they visit, and even the content of their reports are all strongly influenced by information that they receive from civil society. So when they pay a visit to a country, they don't just meet the government, they meet various groups in the country and hear what they've got to say. So they're picking up information from a whole range of people, individuals and groups, and that's on what they base their report. So again, they can hold the country, they can remind the country of their obligations and of how maybe they're falling down on the implementation of the obligations on a particular issue or a particular human right. So I'm going to show a short video now which summarizes this particular point about how does special procedures operate.
When the Human Rights Council decides a rights issue is so important that it needs a specialist investigation, it creates a special procedure. Through special procedures, human rights defenders can draw attention to rights abuses and prompt an expert-led response. Special procedures come in different shapes and sizes. They can be an individual, known as a special rapporteur or independent expert, or a team of experts called working groups. In all cases, these experts are entirely independent. Not controlled by politics, they remain impartial and unbiased. This neutrality allows them to cover issues that might otherwise be deemed too politically sensitive for discussion at the international level. Special procedures can have a thematic scope. For example, the Working Group on Enforced Disappearances was created as a reaction to that particular human rights violation and examines the issue in every country around the world. Other special procedures focus on a single country, such as the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Cambodia. They embark on country visits, prepare reports, and raise concerns about individual cases or laws. Every year, the experts present their reports to the Human Rights Council. The reports include recommendations to the Council, to individual governments, and to other actors, like businesses or NGOs. Special procedures can also issue statements and press releases, thereby increasing scrutiny or awareness of a problem. Special procedures are one of the most powerful international instruments for confronting violations of the rights of individuals and particular groups. In the past, they have taken action against the killing of environmentalists, raised awareness of the challenges facing women human rights defenders, shone a light on abuses against LGBTI people, and helped to expose the risks faced by civil society in highly restrictive environments. So as a mechanism, special procedures are invaluable to human rights defenders. Their defined scope allows a precise focus on the issue. They are fast, flexible, and public. They can mobilize quickly as situations arise and react as they develop. Finally, they are open and accessible. The cases they raise, the countries they visit, and even the content of their reports are all strongly influenced by information they receive from civil society. As a result, special procedures are one of the most effective tools available to human rights defenders.
So that's the end of my presentation on the special procedures.
I can hear you now.
Thank you. Somebody asked the question, what's the difference between naming and shaming? Kevin, can you respond to that? And that's not enough.
Well, it's just that when a country is named before its peers, it doesn't feel very comfortable, and it may actually cause it to consider, should it be taken some more action? So it's kind of, it's just you want to appear well before your peers, and when you're criticized or when shortcomings are pointed out, that's not a comfortable position to be in.
And Kevin, just what's the difference between supporting a recommendation and noting a recommendation?
Well, it's accepting a recommendation is the word that's used. You accept a recommendation means you're going to implement it, you're going to do something about it. Note means you've noted it, you'll consider, and you might do something about it. Now, when you do some research, you'll find out that countries that have noted recommendations in the past, generally, some of them do actually take action on them. They're not all forgotten about. Maybe 15 or 20% of noted recommendations actually receive attention. But if you accept a recommendation, that's a clear statement. We're going to implement this particular recommendation. Note, we'll consider it, and we may take action on it.
Okay. And the role of the Troika, can you explain that a little bit more, Kevin?
Well, the role of the Troika really is they're conducting the session with the country under review in the UPR. So the three countries, the representatives that are chosen by lot, they're managing the process. They engage with the country, they look at the documentation, and they make sure that things go smoothly during the presentation at the UPR.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. That's what I brought up from the UPR. Anything for you on the treaty bodies?
Well, a very good question on treaty bodies was about, is there an overlap between the work of treaty bodies? And there certainly is an overlap. And from time to time, the UN has said, how can we make the treaty bodies work more cooperatively? How can we make them kind of cooperate more? And each year, there's a meeting of the chairperson of each of the treaty bodies to see how they can cooperate more closely. Because if there are 9 treaty bodies and they're all requiring countries to ratify and to make reports and so on, it can become quite a complicated system of reporting. So there is attention being given to make treaty bodies maybe cooperate more and work more in tandem. I think too, there was a question about sanctions. Well, one of the unfortunate things is that recommendations and so on can be made, but the UN hasn't got the power to enforce people to do things. So it's naming and shaming or keeping people aware, reminding them of what their obligations are, but it hasn't got the power to enforce anything. So yeah, these would be some of my comments. A lot of people said that they wanted to investigate their own country and find out, has their country ratified, how many of the treaties has the country ratified? And I think that's an important thing to do. Okay, Tino.